McCarthy Chevrolet. Don't forget, $12,000 off on Silverados. You don't have his phone number. Talk for a second, Kirk. Here, you just here we go. I bet this is him right now calling in on the show. He's going to pod him up. Kirk is ready. You see how fast Kirk moves when he's in a hurry? All right, let's see who this is. Is this Dennis?
Yeah.
Were you having a hard time?
Are you guys having a problem? I've been watching like, okay, are they going to call me or do I need to call them?
No.
All right, I'll go ahead and call them. I'll put them out of their misery.
You were supposed to call us, right?
Yeah, but I couldn't get in.
I know.
I called, I don't know how many times, and it kept asking for my PIN number.
Kirk, he forgot to turn off the tie line, I think, in there. That's what it was.
Yeah, we forgot to unplug it.
Don't blame me.
Nobody knows what a tie line is, but we'll just suffice it to say we had the line tied up for you, Dennis. But now it's free. Thanks for calling in.
Hey,
I've had worse things happen to me, so.
Oh, I'm sure. Dennis, where you at? You down there at the World of Wheels car show?
Yes, we are, man. I'll tell you what, we're seeing a lot of racers down there, a lot of fans. In the past, you get a lot of people down there that didn't really know who we were, and talking to a lot of people that know who we are now. So I think some of the efforts we're putting out are paying off. We're getting our name out there, and a lot of the drivers are coming down there looking around. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Dennis,
down there getting a night, too.
You've really stepped off on the deep end this year, bud. Let me tell you, you've proved that you're not scared to take on some of these high-dollar races. You've got, obviously, you and I are co-promoting the event in May 23rd, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second. But you got USAC, you brought in MLRA, your midgets. I mean, you really went out on a limb when it comes to bringing in a lot of these touring series.
We got something for everybody this year. I mean, we kind of dabbled with it just a little bit last year, trying to just play with it, see what to expect, and they worked real well for us. I mean, honestly, most of these touring groups we've worked with have been just bent over backwards to work with us, and they understand that we have to make money to bring them back, and it's been a good association with all of them. I haven't had any bad associations with any of them, so it's worked well.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say War's coming in there as well. We've got Warrior Region, ASCS Warrior Region cars. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. If you're a late model fan, if you're a sprint car fan, a modified fan, you've got it all down there. Midgets, doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've really got a good, cross section of everything. Then we've got our weekly show, of our A-Muds, B-Muds, Street Stocks, Dirt Demons, and Valley Sprints, Micro Sprints, and Lightning Sprints. So we've kind of tried to mix it up with our basically our cornerstone. If you don't have a weekly show that works, you probably can't do the national events. So we've kind of got our weekly show that's doing really well, and trying to bring some of these national events in. And because those national events do bring in some fans that don't normally come, and once they see what we're doing out there, they seem to come back. So it's worked well for us.
You said Dirt Demons. Now, for some reason, I thought in my mind that that's the front-wheel drive cars, right?
Yeah, well, actually, this year we opened it up to front or rear-wheel drive. The key is they got to be stock. They can't get in and monkey with them. I did a lot of research trying to see if I thought the rear-wheel drives would have an advantage over the front-wheel drives, and as long as you leave them alone, make them keep them stock, I think it's going to make some fun racing. A lot of these guys that want to move up to the B-Mods and the A-Mods, Street Stocks, they want to drive a rear-wheel drive car to get a feel for it because those front-wheel drives don't handle the same. So we kind of opened that class up to rear-wheel drive cars to let these guys get a taste of what they handle like before they move up.
Wasn't there a moment where you were thinking about dropping that class there at the end of last year?
Well, we actually did our fall series. We had them scheduled, and I think the first fall series race we only had 4 or 5 of them show up, and I don't know if they were just done racing or what. So we did drop them from our fall series.
But not from the yearly show. Right?
Yeah, from our weekly show. I mean, and it's our only beginner class that we have, so we've kept it. It's a trophy class. We don't pay them money. We're just trying to get some new people, and you can build one of the little cars for about $1,000 and have some fun. And if a guy wants to move up, we got money classes they can move up to.
You know what's going to happen, don't you, with that? You're going to get some of those guys that have those cars that raced out at I-70s that were, the pony cars.
They're not legal.
I know.
They've modified them, and I've had several of them call, and I told them they can't bring them.
Yeah.
They got to be stock. Put them back to stock, and we'd love to have you, but I'm not going to let them come up here and stomp all over our front-wheel drive guys because there's no way that they can keep up with those pony stocks. they had down there.
Right.
Well, it's not surprising a beginner class like that would be tapped out by the time the fall rolls around. That's the kind of situation where there'll be, a
It's a budget
summertime situation, but not prepared to race that length of time during the season. I just curious, with all the great weather that we've had this winter, up until this weekend, of course, have you been able to do a lot of work out at the racetrack? What are fans going to see that's new out at Valley Speedway than when they left last fall?
Well, we've added some more clay on the front straight, back straight, in the corners. I mean, that just kind of seems to be a gradual process. You know, every time you race twice a week, everybody takes 5 or 10 pounds of dirt home with them every week. You got to keep adding it back. So we've kind of added dirt to the track. Working on our grandstands, we've got those set up to where our top 5 rows will be reserve seating. So if somebody wants to make sure they get the same seat every week, we've got reserve seating in the top 5 rows for them. Trying to get our bus painted, just the normal stuff. Put some extra lights down in the pits. Going to put some more speakers in the pits for the guys down there. It gets hard to hear whenever they're so far down now.
You need some on the back straightaway too, don't you, bud?
Yeah, we had them last week. They blew them out. I went over to KCR whenever they had their auction and bought a bunch of speakers. So, yeah, we got speakers to put on that back straight also. So
hey, if it means anything to you, Brian blew up the speakers down at the Chili Bowl, too.
He's the one that blew mine up.
I know it. I know it. When you got a rock star announcer like that, man, you better bring in the good stuff. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, you got to put the suppressor on. If you got him announcing, you need to put the suppressor on it because he's going to blow them out if you don't have it on.
Yeah. I can't be honest with you. I can't wait to hear him down on those Bose speakers down there at Lucas Oil Speedway. That's going to sound like a rock concert when he's doing that deal down there. So
they'll hear him in Springfield.
Yeah. Hey, we've got the guys hanging out with us. This is what the second hour is all about: is the people on the chat room that hang out with us on the website. They're asking about you, LMA. What's going on? Is that how many nights are you going to have those guys this year? Have you totaled that up? What is that?
The war guys?
ULMA.
ULMA.
We've got them, I think, 15 events. We've got them mainly Fridays. We put them in a couple of Saturdays. We've actually got them on our opening night. I dropped the Dirt Demons on opening night and put them in our opening night to where people could see, we're going to have some late model racing out here. And then they race every other Friday for the most part with the lightning sprints. Those guys are taking off every other week doing some traveling. So we stuck the late models in there every other week. And then we've got them, I think, a couple of Saturdays. So I think 14 or 15 total events is what we've got them scheduled for this year.
Well, that's going to make a lot of people excited.
Yeah, we get a lot of chat on it.
And I will tell you, that's going to definitely drive up the attendance on Friday nights.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of late model fans in this town.
Oh, when I grew up, Dennis, late models were on dirt that's what it was all about. You went to Lakeside. You watched the late models on Friday nights. You went to watch the late models Saturday night at Riverside. You'd go up to Shawnee. Everybody run late models back in the day. So I think there's going to be some people migrate over to your neck of the woods that might not normally go over there on Friday nights when they're there.
Yeah, and we've got one of the late models up in our booth at the World of Wheels show. We kind of got one of every car we race up there, and it's pretty cool. They got some nice stuff up there. It's incredible.
Isn't that the whole key, though, of being able to make this work, running 2 nights a weekend, is you draw from 2 different types of fan base, try to keep things as different as you can so that you draw in fans from 2 different areas?
Yeah, it really is. That Friday night open wheel crowd is a totally different crowd than our Saturday night crowd. Totally different. And that's one of the things with the late models on Friday night. Of course, you're actually drawing that stock car guy, is what I call him, rather than the open wheel guy. But it'll also give us some cross-pollination of our fan base. We might get some of those open wheel fans that say, well, this is kind of cool. Let's go out there Saturday night and see what it's all about. And then maybe some of our Saturday crowd that comes to watch the late models on Friday night, we might retain them to come out once in a while to watch Fridays. So hopefully it works out. I think it'll be good for both fan bases.
Do you have some kind of an idea of the percentage of your total fan base that go to both Friday and Saturday nights?
Oh, at this point, it's not real high. I've had quite a few people call this year that are wanting to actually come out and just camp all weekend. They're wanting to come out Friday night and stay till Sunday before both nights. So there's been a lot of interest in that. So percentage-wise, I mean, I would say it's maybe 10%. It's not real high. I mean, I see some of the people every week, but we have our core crowd Friday and Saturday, totally different people, and maybe 10% of them are coming both nights.
And that was the reason for doing it. I mean, having sprint cars. I mean, as we've stated, just like our race in October on Cup Weekend, we know that Lakeside's got a big late model race going on, but we were so confident that sprint car fans are sprint car fans that they're going to show up at our race.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you find,
especially if you got Tony Stewart coming out to race with you? I mean,
well,
how cool is that?
Now we can't. What we can say about Tony Stewart being there is when people say, "Is Tony going to be there?" He was there. He was there last year.
Absolutely.
That's what we tell people.
Don't commit to nothing, do they?
Hey, we not only had the defending Sprint Cup champion, we also had the defending Nationwide Series champion. Ricky Stenhouse was out there that night as well, and Yaley was out there, and all the MRN guys. So, and they all tell me they're coming back. I talked to Yaley. He said, "Yeah, he'll be out there," and I don't have any reason to believe that Tony Stewart won't come back.
Yeah, the one guy you got to figure that probably would not like to see Tony come back. Maybe Terry McCarroll.
Yeah, maybe, maybe so.
That made the night interesting. For sure. Dennis.
What was bad about that was there wasn't anything that happened out there that justified what went on after that event.
You just got to know Terry, bud. I mean, come on.
That was ignorant.
He was upset, but you just got to know that's how T-Mac flies right there.
Yeah,
that's just him.
Pretty typical stuff.
That's pretty typical. That's non-typical stuff going on right there. Dennis, we've got to talk about it, and let's start right here with it. We are working on our May 23rd, our midweek show, the national tour date, the first national tour date at Grain Valley Speedway. We are working on something that's very special to a lot of people in this area, and it isn't official, but we can say, because we talked about this a little bit before we had you on the air, that we are working with Tony Ross and the Michael Ross Foundation, trying to bring back the tradition of the Michael Ross Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament. And the event was a World of Outlaw event at Sedalia for a lot of years, and it's going to be an ASCS National Tour event, again, May 23rd, on a Wednesday. It's a midweek show. This is something that you and I and Tony Ross and Danny Lasowski and the celebrities that have been involved in the past have been working on for a couple weeks, and I'm excited at the possibility that we can bring back the Michael Ross Foundation Golf Tournament and celebrity auction and just everything that comes along with that. That would be really cool if we can get this all wrapped up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and we've got a date secured with Adams Point Golf Course. Now, again, it's like you said, no contracts are signed yet, but the preliminaries are completed. We've got a date. We're somewhat close from a funding standpoint of what they're willing to let us do it for and what we figure we can afford. So, I mean, 80% of it's what it's done. If we can just finalize everything, it looks like we can put this thing together. It's pretty short time period. I mean, we should have been doing this last November.
Yeah.
But it's coming together pretty quick, and we're trying to. We got a tentative meeting set up next week with Adams Point to get everybody up there and talk about it, make sure the facility will accommodate what we're wanting to do, and then start getting. I mean, I think you've already got a few of these drivers already somewhat tentatively set to come do the event. So.
Some of the drivers, and I won't say that they're the ones that are going to be here this year, but I will tell you, I've talked to Gary Selzy. He wants to be here. We're trying to get his son Dominic to come out and drive one of Danny Lasowski's backup cars. Ron Capps has done this. We've had Dave Marcus. It's been a lot of different people have driven these cars over the few years that we did it down at the State Fair, and I'm excited about the possibilities. I will tell you, some big names. I can't say them. I don't want to say it. But,
I know.
But some.
But everybody knows them. Once you see them, they know who they are.
No, we're talking like big names, even bigger maybe than we've had in the past showing up for this event. And if that is the case, people will be blown away. It'll be a midweek show, again, May 23rd. And we are working as hard as we can to try to bring back the Michael Ross Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament, charity auction. And then those same drivers You know, in years past, there's been a celebrity race. And we're not sure that that's going to happen because it costs a lot of money when those celebrities tear up those cars.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion on the celebrity races. It's not a problem of getting the guys to drive the cars. It's a problem of covering the cars they tear up when they get get done.
Hey,
So,
I'm going to break some news to you here that I haven't told you, though. Just the other day, I had a conversation with Bob Douglas that said that if our celebrities wanted to drive the Midwest Lightning Sprints, there would be no crash clause involved.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That changes everything, doesn't it,
That's
bud?
gutsy on those. I'll tell you what, that is a good group of guys to work with. We've worked with those guys for the last probably 4 years out here, and they're just fantastic to work with, and got some really absolute fantastic equipment that them guys are racing. So if we could put that together, that would really be fun.
Yeah.
That would, if we can make that happen, and maybe talk to our drivers, and just, if there is such a thing as getting them to, I don't want to say throttle it back, but at least.
That's hard to ask people to do that.
Roll the cable back a little bit on one of those, right?
Maybe we can get all the throttles and maybe set them at half throttle or something. Maybe there's something we can do and then let them not touch them.
But here's the thing.
Something like that.
Here's the thing, Dennis. I don't think these guys. I think they'll be a little more intimidated by driving an open wheel car than they were those modifieds down at Sedalia.
Yeah, I think you're right, because the consequences of getting them things together is pretty severe.
Little greater.
Just bump and get away from it. You're going to go for a tumble if you ain't careful.
And I will tell you, I've been on the end of some carnage in those modified races down at Sedalia. I love telling this story. I was standing at the back straightaway. It was at Sedalia. I don't know, the last year maybe the second to last. It was second to last year. And I just bought that modified. I had that new Dirtworks car. It was beautiful, man. I mean, that baby was slick. It was its first time ever out on the racetrack, right? So I'm standing over there on the back straightaway, and I'm talking to Caps and Selzy, and we're just watching hot laps go along, and the sprint cars are out there. And Tony Stewart was there that night. Tony Stewart's dad, Norman, comes over. And he wasn't scheduled to be one of the guys in the celebrity race, right? He walks over. Selzy and Caps and I are standing there talking. He walks up and he says, "Got me a ride." "Oh, you did?" "Yeah." He says, "I'm going to run over somebody tonight." I mean,
and he did. Right?
What an ass!
Who he ran over?
What an ass! You know why I call him an ass? Because I was the one he ran over on the first freaking lap. I'm down by the guardrail. I hear this motor come ripping up, trying to get in between me and the guardrail. I'm thinking, I'm 3 foot off the guardrail. Where's this car going? I try to get away from him. He runs in there, feeds me a right rear, jumps over my left front, just bends the whole front end up on my car. The springs, and this is a borrowed car that he's driving now, granted. The springs fly out of the car that he's driving. It's whopper-jawed and laying on the ground and everything. And I'm thinking, my God, this was his goal. His goal was to run over somebody.
And his goal was to run over you because he made a point to come down and tell you about it, right?
That's the only way I could take it.
Well, didn't Tony Ross, didn't he tell us that the last event they had down there, they wound up buying 5 of those A-mods because they tore them up so bad?
Sounds about right, yeah. I remember that was a carnage down there that night. I recall that very well. That very fast half-mile racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, Selzy was leading, remember, and he crashed leading.
Yep.
I think Schatz won that night.
I remember.
Remember, Schatz and Boyer battled for the win that night. Yeah,
I remember everybody just shaking their heads when that thing was over. They're thinking, "Oh my, that was expensive." That was expensive.
If Bob Douglas is willing to step forward, that's definitely something. I'll see Bob's down at the World of Wheels. The Lightning Sprints guys have an incredible booth down there. I'll go down and talk to him today and just kind of see how serious.
Well,
he is.
I probably should share.
If you tell him that story, Dennis, he'd probably have second thoughts.
I probably shouldn't have shared that story. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have shared that one.
Hey,
right
Dennis,
there.
where are you at down there at the World of Wheels, where people can find you?
We're down at the north end, this would be the northeast corner of the hall. They're using the entire facility, so we're kind of down at the northeast end. And we got 6 of our race cars down there, so they can't miss.
Are you handing out schedules and that kind of stuff?
Schedules, discount tickets, free kids tickets. We're handing out all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you get back to work and meeting the public, and it's open through tomorrow, right?
Heck, yep. tomorrow till 8 o'clock, I think, is when it closes tomorrow, 10 tonight.
And I think we should have something to announce if we're going to do this Michael Ross Foundation race within a couple weeks, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we're got a tentatively scheduled meet with Adams Point Tuesday, and if everything goes right there and we can come to agreement on everything, I think we're ready to proceed forward to the next step.
All right, Dennis. Have a good time down there. I'll be down there to see you this week. Are you going to be down there both days?
Yep, I'll be down there.
Okay, we'll see you down there.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thank you.
All right, Dennis Shrout, owner of Green Valley Speedway.